Good morning, and I just wanted to thank you guys all for watching this Little Red Rooster TV show number 21. We've been talking, or I have been talking about music and the kind of philosophy of it, and I've gotten a lot of feedback this week from you guys, from Glenn Grantham. He always gives excellent feedback, and I had Alan Purdy giving me some talk on Facebook about band names and other bands from Sacramento, the history of Sacramento, the Grim Freckles, and the Miniature Concert, and the Fugitives. And actually the way that that band progressed, I remember the Fugitives in the earlier years, and with in a five-piece format with a lead singer, Paul the Barber playing the guitar, Alan Purdy on the bass, Jim Sazin, was he in that band? No, he wasn't. But let's see, Frank Loskatoff was the guitar player, one of the guitar players in there, and I went to high school with Frank over at Burbank High School in South Sacramento. Anyway, then they went on to become the Grim Freckles after evolving, making changes in the band, different guitar players, Tony Powell and Laramie Smith on guitars. That was an excellent band, and were the Grim Freckles, and then over to the Miniature Concert. And Alan was always a very interesting guy, and later played with a fellow named Bob Walden, who I worked with at Academy Organ and Piano Center starting in 1966, right there in Arden and Ethan, owned by Dick and Joe Rossi. They weren't brothers, but Dick Rossi was the guy that owned the box room all the way to the end until 1988. Anyway, guys, you know, good morning. So what I was talking about as far as philosophy of music, we were talking about folks that copy, you know, have an affinity for copying and duplicating, and people who maybe can't even do that but create. And then, you know, like, I think that, you know, what I want to talk about is sort of a philosophy I have for playing with other people. So as a person, as a guitar player, and I'm just going to use myself for an example, I try, if I'm going to come over into your playing arena, into your song, for example, if you're a singer-songwriter, or, you know, your band or whatever, I have a certain way I'm going to approach it. And I'm going to use it as an example. And, you know, there are various different things. A friend of mine who's a guitar player in Lincoln Highway wrote a 10 Commandments for guitar players, which I thought was like a very good musical etiquette thing. But I'm just going to tell you how I approach it. Because knowing, in talking about people that are copy and people that are creative, you're always going to be in an environment with when you're with different musicians. Some of the musicians that you're with might be really good music theory guys, but not really very creative. And they might be with a real wild, you know, kind of like a high-spirited person that takes you on these journeys, some of which might not be necessarily musically correct. And then there are good players and duplicators and all of that. So I find that guys that have learned a lot of songs and played in dance clubs and that type of thing usually get a vocabulary of styles and the dances that go along with it. So when they play, if they're out in public, hopefully someone will start dancing. Because I'll tell you what, it's a heck of a lot more fun if you're playing along at a gig and people are dancing than they aren't dancing. And back in the day, the club owner was depending on that, so people would be buying drinks and that type of thing. And I just think it's sort of the protocol for a musician. If you're at a party, you want those people to party and participate and stay as long as they can and all that type of thing. So here's kind of a couple of things that I think. If you're going to be a musician, it is always good, in my opinion, to play a couple of different musical instruments. I believe that if a fellow's a drummer, but he plays a little bit of the bass or the guitar or something like that, it gives him a little insight as to what it's like to try to fit his part with the other part. I also think that whenever you're going to play a song with other musicians, there's always going to be somebody that knows that song the best. Now, if the person that's singing the song is, you know, let's use the song The Letter by the Box Tops. And so let's say that the singer that's going to sing it wants to sing the box top version. That's what they've worked on and refined. And somebody else in the band wants to try to do the Joe Cocker version. Well, that might be a conversation, but for learning it and getting it out there, the guy that's already got his part prepared, if the other people will just learn that song the way they do, that one fellow that knows it, then many times you can get a feel and a groove that has already been refined by that first person. So in any event, here's kind of like what I do. If somebody's going to play a song, what I'll do is listen to it for a while. And what I'm listening for, I'm trying to listen for what I call the pulse of the song, the tempo, and the feel of the song. And see, like over the years, in my experience, I played with many bass players and drummers that were kind of like groove machines, because those guys were playing 4 and 5 and 6 and sometimes 7 nights a week, and sometimes on the weekends more hours than 4, for dance clubs, for dance parties and that type of thing. And so when they did, they had this experience. Also, in that same environment, there was a time when many musicians had to learn 1 or sometimes maybe even 2 songs per week. Like if you could think between the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s, there was so much good music, and as these songs were on the top 100, if people were at a club and you played a new song, they would get up and dance. So I believe many of the musicians that went through that era and worked in dance clubs are very good people to, you know, like try to get around and try to do whatever it is that they're doing, get their zen, so to speak, because those guys were working musicians, and that still works and will always work. So in any event, listen to what's going on for a little while, try to feel whatever their groove is, and then step in. And when you first learn it, try to learn it so you don't disturb what's going on. You know, in any fashion, like let's say I'm playing the guitar, I'm just going to kind of strum, and I'm going to kind of like listen, and then if I start to think of a little tasty part that will go with what the other guys are doing, then I stick it in. And as you do that, then you might have discussions as you go, you know, refining the arrangements. I find a lot of times it's good to shorten up songs. You know, there's a lot of, sometimes in songs, redundancy. You know, they had to make it be 3.5 minutes on the radio, but the point can be made in 2 minutes. And really, if you have lots and lots of songs, the audience gets to listen to more songs. So those are some of the things I try to use in our own band and that type of thing. And I'm going to continue to have insights on this, or not insights, but I'm going to try to express myself. And I love it when I get feedback. So Glenn, I want to hear what you have to say. Jay Gordon Tice, I would love to hear what you have to say about all of that. In any event, this is Gene Thorpe, Little Red Rooster TV, show number 21, signing out. Have a great day. Bye-bye.